The Monday edition.
That's right.
Is there another weekly edition?
No. There
Well,
used
they
to-
could play rerun. You could play reruns.
We could.
You know, you could rerun this on Thursdays.
We could.
There are lots of things you could do.
Yeah,
Right.
we could do a lot.
True.
Huh.
That
So,
week.
busy week.
It
It's already started this morning. It's a busy. Yeah. It's pretty out. Look at the sun's out. I think my card said it was 49. Your radio.
Wow.
It's at 45. So, I'm going to let you do most of the talking because I'm just getting over this cold. And I know it's unusual for you to do most of the talking.
Greg, did you notice a hint of sarcasm in her statement?
Just a touch.
Yeah, just a little
Just a
bit.
touch.
You know? Did I ever tell you the definition of, well, you know what the definition of bigamy is, right?
I think so.
Yeah,
This is a
it's
family show.
having two wives, right? You know,
Two or more.
Yeah, well, no, bigamy's two. Polygamy would be more.
Oh,
Bigamy
okay.
is having two
Well, I'm
wives.
glad you cleared that up for me.
Absolutely. You gotta be.
Breaking news. Are you going to replay that one?
I might have to.
So, okay, so you know the definition of monogamy.
Yes. One?
Having one wife, 2 men.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
Didn't know it was comedy hour.
Yeah, well, after that sarcastic little remark, why not? All right, so what did you want me to expound on? for
Well,
the
so
next
let's
20
finish
minutes?
our conversation from last week, if you can
We're
remember.
giving an exposition today, Greg.
I'm ready to sit through it.
Well, thank goodness.
Instead of suffering through it?
You know, the interesting.
I could have said that. But
Yeah.
I mean,
I could read your mind.
Last Thursday, I did a 6-hour seminar for real estate licensees and lawyers over in Bingham Farms. And then Friday, I gave a 6-hour seminar to brokers and attorneys over in Troy. So doing a 20-minute monologue is like standing on my ear here. It's so easy. But yeah, 6 hours worth. That's a long time to conduct a seminar.
That is.
Yeah.
6 hours?
6 hours, but it really works
And
out
did
really
it
well.
seem like a week for all of them?
This is your radio show. I'm only a guest
That's her
here.
show.
So does she really want me to speak, or does she want 20
Not my
minutes?
show.
Does she
At
want 20,
9:30, my show ends. Her show.
Does she want 20 minutes of radio silence? Because if she keeps saying stuff like that, that's what she's going to get. Right?
Aw. You
No,
can take it.
my seminars are a dialogue. I don't deliver them on. It's a dialogue with the class, and I've had this particular class. It's continuing education. It's a 6-hour seminar, mandatory for real estate licensees, and I have people.
What did they learn?
A whole variety of things. We were actually talking about that change in title commitments regarding oil and gas. Most of the people in the classes are commercial brokers. I do have some residential, and I teach the same class here in Jackson for mostly residential brokers, but and agents. But
Because there are so many silly, stupid laws. There's probably some that are okay.
I wouldn't call them silly and stupid at all. I
Well,
mean,
some are okay.
Yeah, most are okay, and you know, you got to remember that the law doesn't necessarily is not there simply to determine right from wrong. We try to do that, but the law is there simply to create a bright line so that you know if you're on this side of the bright line, you're acting legally. If you're on the other side, you're acting illegally, and that's essentially what most of the stuff
That
is.
would be right or wrong.
Yeah, no, not necessarily. I mean, you can debate whether,
Is there
for
ever a
example,
gray area?
yeah, of course, there are always gray areas. You could debate for endlessly whether or not a rental registration law is good or bad, right or wrong.
And then,
It
of
has
course,
some-
it's going to
it has
depend
some
on
good
what side of the
aspects.
fence you're on,
Yeah, it
right?
has some good aspects to it, it has some bad aspects to it. But the point is that you know where you stand when we adopt these pieces of legislation. But not all are good, and you may not agree with it. So anyway, yeah, you wanted to continue the conversation last week about easements, joint driveways, that
Right.
sort of thing.
So if I sell a piece of property and to access that property, there's a private road, one that's not county, what do they call that?
And not built to county road specifications.
And that's been used as the road to access these back properties forever. Do I need a road maintenance agreement?
Here's the deal with it. If you tried to do that development today, under most ordinances, the instant that you try to put more than one lot, some municipalities still allow two. I'm trying to think under the Land Division Act if that's permissible. But typically if it's more than two, again, I'd have to look at the ordinance or the statute, but you have to build a road to county road specifications, even though it may be a private road. It doesn't necessarily have to be dedicated to the public and maintained by the county or the municipality. But you're talking about a circumstance where, let's say you've got 6 or 7 houses already developed, built up. They were there, put in before the Land Division Act, so they're now non-conforming under the Land Division Act, so the municipality can't stop the use. But now, if I'm buying one of those properties serviced by a private road, the answer to your question is I almost certainly want to have a road maintenance agreement in place. And if I go to get a mortgage, most mortgage lenders will absolutely require a road maintenance agreement. It becomes more critical the farther down that road I happen to be, because if I don't have a road maintenance agreement, what you find is that and the people who are closest to the public road, they may have it plowed in the wintertime, they may put some gravel or whatever it is, but only up to where they are, and they may not even do that. So the ones who are farther down the road have a greater interest in making certain that there's a road maintenance agreement. But yeah, you want one, and if you don't have one, now you start encountering all kinds of problems with, you got 6 people, for example, living on this, you're using this private road. You know that at least one of them is going to be a difficult neighbor, right?
The odds are.
The odds are one of them's going to be a difficult neighbor, parking cars in it, blocking it, doing stuff, encroaching on it. So yeah.
Or they just don't use the property because it might be a lakefront property, then they're only there couple times a year.
And so they don't want to contribute anything to the maintenance. That's true too. And there are tons of these private drives around where nobody bothered to get a road maintenance agreement back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. Road maintenance agreements started coming into vogue and being required by lenders probably in the 70s and 80s.
Well,
Are there many private roads?
Tons of them.
Are there-
Well, tons of private
Just
roads, but I'm really talking about a private drive that is just one car width one car wide, just like a driveway.
Aren't all driveways private?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All
the
driveways are
driveways
private.
off
But
of
there's
the
a
road
difference.
are private. Is that what you're talking about?
There's a
Any
difference.
driveway.
There's a difference between a driveway and a private road. A private road I
You
can
might have a
have.
shared driveway.
Well, we have a shared driveway.
Yeah, we have a shared driveway.
Yeah, we
Well, I
have-
understand that.
So it's not private.
Yes, no, it's
Well,
private.
semi-private.
It
No, it's private versus public.
Right,
When we talk
okay.
about a public road, we're talking about a road that's dedicated to the public, maintained by the county or the municipality or the
Right.
state. When you talk about private road, I almost always think of a road, an access that is built to county road specifications, but is nevertheless private. It's owned by the condominium owners or it's owned by the subdivision owners, and they maintain it, but nevertheless it's not simply a quote driveway, end quote. When I think of a driveway, it could even be a 2-track through the woods or something else. So I'm really talking about, it could be either road maintenance agreement, driveway, or road or driveway, you really want to have a maintenance agreement so that we know who's going to plow it, who's going to take care of it, and who's going to contribute to the cost of maintaining it.
I had a
You had a
question.
coughing fit.
I know, but I had a question right before that, and then it escaped me. So if a road maintenance agreement is devised, so I sell a lot, and the purchaser wants a road maintenance agreement in place from the seller. Seller now goes to the other 5 property, because let's say there's 6 property owners, other 5 property owners, and can only get 3 of the 5. So there's 4 counting the new people, right?
I'd say nightmare.
Right. Yeah.
And they record that.
Yeah, but it's not binding on the ones who didn't sign it. They can go ahead and record it, and as between the 4 of the 6 who signed it, it's binding.
Okay.
But for the
So
other 2,
I-
they can't bind them without their consent.
So this house that only gets used a couple times a year that didn't sign it, they go to sell. And the buyer gets a mortgage, and the mortgage company requires a road maintenance agreement. The new buyer can then sign, right? And,
Sure.
and is that going to be acceptable to the lender?
Well, you can't just sign something after the fact. You gotta go to the other 4 owners who have signed it and say, hey, I'm buying this property, I'd like to sign on to the agreement, and so now you have an amendment to the original agreement, so that now you get 5 out of the 6. So you can do that. But I've never seen that, because nobody enters into a road maintenance agreement if everybody isn't gonna sign on. No point in having 2 or 3 out of 6 or 4 out of 6. You want everybody to sign on. And if people stop and think about it, they want to have that road maintenance agreement in place. And again, you can always take into account the fact that somebody isn't there year-round, isn't using it in the winter, and you can build that into the road maintenance agreement. And you can build that road maintenance agreement such that if somebody comes in and starts using it all year long, now they'll contribute to snow removal, that sort of thing.
Is there an example of a road around here?
Oh, God, probably 100 or more, or more than that.
I mean, other than a, like, private development?
Yeah, Laura and I own land out on, where is that, out on South Jackson Road. What's the name of the road? Sutphin Road. And
Is there a road maintenance agreement there?
No, there's no road maintenance agreement on that.
We own
okay?
this by default.
Yeah, and so there's no road maintenance agreement on that. It's not part of any sort of formal development. It was land that was split off under the old Subdivision Control Act before the Land Division Act in 1997. And
Who knew?
yeah, right. But I mean,
Who knew that we had it?
that's essentially a two-track. I shouldn't say that. It's more.
Do we own enough to go hunting in? Not that I'm
You
gonna go hunting.
don't
I'm
need a
just
lot
curious.
of land to go hunting on.
Well, don't you need 10 acres to hunt on?
Why?
To shoot? I don't know.
You don't need. You can go to public land if you want to.
Well, okay. All right. Well, that's up for. Anyhow, so if I've got a lender, if my buyer is buying this property with a mortgage and the lender's requiring a road maintenance agreement and they only get 4 of the 6 signatures, is that going to be acceptable to the lender?
No,
Really?
really.
So then what do you do about the other 2?
You don't. What happens is you.
You're toast?
That's a legal term of art. I used that term of art in a seminar last Friday.
Did you?
Yeah. What's
You
the
could
answer to that
teach us
question?
that-
You're toast.
You
must
could teach that class.
Yeah,
then.
again, you gotta
I
check
must
with
have
the
picked that
lender.
up from you.
The lender, again,
Was I at that seminar?
I think you were teaching it.
some lenders may say, they'll ask you how long the drive or private road has been there, and they may forego the need for the road maintenance agreement. So you need to check with
Does
the lender,
price
see what they'll do.
does price of the home have anything to do with it?
I don't think so, not that I'm aware of.
All right.
Shouldn't. But, I mean, and you wanna, you gotta watch out for these joint driveways. You know, we have an example of someone whose neighbor blocked the joint driveway when they were trying to cover up the roof during a rain, just because of spite, just because they didn't get along, the neighbors didn't get along. It happens all the time where.
Imagine
they
that.
don't, okay? So-
That happens probably more often than the road maintenance problem.
Oh, yeah, you actually have joint driveways in place between 2 adjoining property owners. And, the original owners may get along, but now you get somebody else in there, and all of a sudden you get people blocking it off, people putting stones in. I mean, I've got a case over toward Dexter where the neighbor on a joint driveway started putting stones across the driveway, the portion that my client needed to get access onto the jointly shared part. In other words, it split off at the houses.
Right.
And the guy put rocks across the front claiming that my guy didn't have the right to do it, so we have surveys and then determine that in fact they have the right to do it. It can be an absolute horror
And the
story.
sad part of that is it's costing the guy an attorney's fee.
Why do you
just
say sad? You get
sad.
supported by a lawyer. I mean,
Well,
you should be saying the great part of it is they needed an attorney to be able to resolve
No, I
it
hate
because
to
my
see
husband's a
anybody
lawyer.
have to hire an attorney to solve a
Seriously?
problem.
No, come on. That's your bread and butter. I always tell people that if you didn't have disputes, where would I be?
There you go.
Yeah, I'd probably have to go into radio or something.
So you see a lot of joint driveway
Yeah.
difficulties.
Well, yeah, you do. It's inevitable. The instant you get 2 people together using the same facilities, there's apt to be conflict at some juncture. That's why it's good to have a road maintenance or even a joint driveway agreement. You can, if you buy a property that shares a driveway with a neighbor, again, the lender's going to ask for the same thing, a joint driveway agreement. And
Really?
So, yeah, because they want to make certain that everybody knows who's doing what to whom, and that driveway is going to be maintained properly, and that it's always going to provide access.
So the road maintenance agreement, if the 4 of the 6 are the first 4, and the last 2 won't sign, that's probably no big deal. You just stop the road.
Right, you just stop doing your road maintenance at the end of the 4. That's why I said it's easier the closer you are to the public road the less you need the road maintenance agreement in place, because if push comes to shove, you can maintain it yourself. But if you're down at the end of the road, all of a sudden, if nobody else is maintaining it and you're forced to do it, you're bearing the entire cost.
Now, when you talk about road, what are you talking about, road maintenance?
You're talking about maintaining the road
Plowing.
bed itself, gravel, just making sure that the road bed's there, grading, make certain that it doesn't flood out, and then you're talking about plowing in the wintertime.
But of course, if the two people that didn't sign were house 2 and 4,
They'd have a nice little benefit, wouldn't they?
well,
Yeah, well,
that's real messy.
Well, but it happens all the time, where someone is down at the end, there's no road maintenance agreement. The people who are closer to the road, they don't maintain it, so now the person down at the end, in order to get access, has to maintain the road without getting any contribution from anybody else if they want to get to their
Well,
home.
and think of it, what if the house number 4 is the one is the one for sale, and that's the one who's been plowing in the winter and maintaining it just because they like to do that. I mean, I've seen Bill jump on his Kubota and go plow everyone's sidewalks for the fun of it.
I always hold my hand out to get paid, but so far, only people shake
nobody's
it.
done
They
it.
say, "Oh, thanks a lot, shake it," and there's no cash.
So that person
forthcoming.
moves away, who's gonna do that plowing? Think about that. Or dies, or whatever happens to that person.
It happens all the time, where someone has been taking care of the road and no longer is around, so now it's not taken care of. That's
Right.
why you have road maintenance agreements. That's the whole purpose of them. Anytime you have joint, it's like a condominium. You have common areas. The condominium bylaws, condominium master deed and bylaws provide for what's going to happen with that common area, who's going to maintain it, and who has jurisdiction over it. Who has,
Well,
who has authority over it.
We have a shared driveway. I always wonder how that will be maintained. If we have to tear that up in the future.
Who knows?
Well, you would share the cost, right?
Yeah, well, we've just never had that conversation with our neighbors.
Well,
So, who knows? It's not that big, it's a short driveway, so it's real easy, so either one can maintain it. I plow it,
Although,
my neighbor plows, has it plowed, so whoever gets to it first plows it,
so it hasn't been a problem.
No, hasn't been a problem.
that could be
If you
rare.
go for a refinance, if you're refinancing your house, do they require these documents? Would they require a shared driveway agreement
I don't know
or
the
a
answer
road
to that.
maintenance agreement?
I don't know the answer to that. It would be a little difficult. Well, they could. It depends again on the lender, how strongly the lender feels it's
That'd be a
the
good
need
question
for
for
it.
Bill Joris tomorrow.
I'll ask him. Let me write that down.
Yeah.
You could ask Ron Ellison too, or Bob Newman at
Yeah, but
American
Bill
Tire.
Joris is on tomorrow,
No, I
right?
understand it, but if Ron's listening or Bob's listening, maybe they can call me with the answer, and because they would know on all their closings which lenders are requiring road maintenance agreements, which one are requiring joint driveway agreements, that sort of thing. Go ahead.
Okay, well, that was a quick 20 minutes,
That was fast.
or was it longer? We have price reductions on a couple of houses. 5515 Kibbe Road, Western School's cute. This is such a cute farmhouse. It's over 1,500 square feet with hardwood floors, 3 bedrooms, 1.5 baths on an acre, and it's got a 3+ car detached garage, and it is a cream puff, just a nice house. So that's $129,900. And then 740 West Washington, which is just right around the corner from us, is down to $75,000. It's a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath, and that's over 1,700 square feet. That's right. It's got a private drive. That'd be interesting. That's got a little alley that gets to its driveway, and then it goes back to the church. And then 912 Delacourt is a short sale, and that's down to $74,900. 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, and that's just under 800 square feet. That's in Blackman Township. That's a cute, cute house. And then we have open houses on Sunday from 1 to 2:30. 411 West Morale, which is a very large brick house, hardwood floors, 4 bedrooms, 1.5 baths, over 2,200 square feet, $73,100. The first floor is in perfect condition. Second floor needs a little bit of tweaking, but that's just where the bedrooms are. And that has a 2-car detached garage, fence, and backyard. That's a steal. And then 111 First Street in Vandercook Lake is open on Sunday from 1 to 2:30. That's 59.9, 3 bedrooms, 1 bath, over 1,000 square feet, and it's ready to move into. So come see us from 1 to 2:30 at 411 West Morale and 111 First Street in Vandercook.
If you have a question,
780-3800.